trying not to eat when you're stressed out or something like that. Because naturally that stress response is going to shut down your digestion. So we digest when we're in parasympathetic mode in our nervous system, which is like rest and digest phase. And that's when we make all the enzymes we need. But if we're stressed and we're in sympathetic, like let's say you're having an argument with one or something like that.
Yeah.
It naturally shuts down the parasympathetic, and it like makes those juices not produce as much, and you're in fight or flight mode, so you're not able to digest well. So not that that's always perfectly able to do.
That I did not know. I had no idea that your digestive system shuts down when you're under stress.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of functions are shifted when our nervous system, goes into that fight or flight mode. But yeah, digestion is one of them for sure.
Wow. Well, that explains a lot for me. I can't eat shit. Hello, and welcome back to Season 2 of I Can't Eat Shit podcast. I'm your host, actress, comedian Shondalia White. And yeah, people, I can't eat shit, and the shit is annoying. I started I Can't Eat Shit podcast because I was secretly ill for many years. People asked me a lot of questions about it, so now I'm healed and I'm ready to talk about it. You can check out my solo journey in Season 1. But for Season 2, I'm spicing it up a little bit, and I'm bringing in some friends and experts to help me talk about all of this stuff. And today, I have one of my favorites. She is a naturopathic and integrative medical care doctor, Dr. Joy Bozzo. And we're talking about the importance of stool and SIBO testing, mold impacts and exposures, our favorite friend, stress, and digestion as a whole. Yeah, a lot. So let's get into it. Hi, Dr. Joy. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's so good to see you. I'm so happy to have you on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for sure.
It's awesome. Just so everyone knows, I know Dr. Joy because she is my actual naturopathic doctor. And I'm so happy because she was a key part of my healing journey, and that's why I want to have her on the podcast today. So thank you again just for joining me and indulging me in informing people that are struggling like me and need some help and guidance.
Yeah, for sure. It's important.
Yes. So I'm going to jump right in. Some things you specialize in are complex chronic health conditions and treating them through root cause focused treatments. Why do you have such a passion for natural, holistic, and integrative care pertaining to the gut?
Probably because I ended up, with my own digestive issues, I ended up finding a naturopathic doctor. And through work with him, that what really ended up making a big shift for my health. So I grew up with tons of digestive issues. Kind of now what I know, looking back, I'm like, we had water leaks in our house. So I know I had mold stuff. I had yeast overgrowth. I had food sensitivities as a kid. And then in college, it really came to a peak where I was just not feeling good all the time. Specialist, never really found, everyone was like, you're a healthy young female, your labs look normal. And I just felt like crap all the time. So I met a naturopath and then, just sort of had my own healing journey. And that made me realize that this is what I want to do.
Oh, wow.
So that was a large part of why I became a naturopathic doctor.
Wow, that's a great story.
Which definitely helps me have empathy and compassion for my patients because I kind of know what it, I had to be the college kid who couldn't eat what everyone else was eating. And I had to, I kind of know, I don't know, the struggles that can go on with making food. So.
Yeah, it can be a mental thing. It starts to, you get sad about it because you're like, oh, I want to do this or I want to have fun and and you can't. And you're like, oh, I'm going to pay for this later or now.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So for your own healing journey, actually, how long did it take you to figure it all out? Because I'm sure it wasn't a big thing. I feel like we're because in Los Angeles, we're really big into that type of stuff. So it's bigger here.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's still not a big thing across America.
Yeah. I mean, and what we mentioned stress. Like, I think a large part of my unwinding and my healing journey was like realizing how closely like my own patterns of stress and how I held stress in my body were really directly related to a lot of my gut stuff too. And so I think that I tell people from like opening the door of my healing journey to shutting it was probably like 2 to 3 years. Like it took a good like chunk of time for me to feel like I was at the point where I was like, oh, I can shut that door now, and I can be like, I am in a completely different place than I was before, you know. There was some, yeah, it was some like, it took a while because I was in college, I was playing lacrosse, I was like still pushing myself to a certain degree that I maybe wouldn't have done if, like I wasn't, if I was older or if it was a different time in my life, but that's, yeah, it took a bit of like an unwinding process. Now that wasn't like I didn't feel better, I was feeling better along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mine took so long because I kept forgetting I was sick. I would like forget. I was like, oh yeah, they told me this was wrong. Like, or oh yeah, I forgot I had this going on. And like, I don't know why I kept forgetting, but I literally.
It's probably a good sign that things were shifting,
Yeah. It was like I slowly started doing things. By the time I met you, I was like towards the peak, it was a mess. But it took so long for me to get there. But by the time I met you, I would say it was about 3 good, solid, maybe years of just getting myself back on the right track, fully on the right track. So yeah, that tracks. That's really nice.
Yeah.
What are some of the first things someone should do when they're trying to improve their gut health in a natural way?
Yeah, we call them probably like food hygiene or food basics. So slowing down when you eat, trying not to, we're fast paced. So like we like eat while we watch TV or we eat while we work or, so like just eating. Trying not to like do it in the car while you're doing other things, because that actually allows your digestive juices to naturally function. You get juices in your mouth, you start getting like stomach acid production, pancreas starts making enzymes. So really slowing down when you're eating, chewing your food really well. We either say like make it like swallow it after it's a paste in your mouth, or swallow it after about like 20 to 30 chews, which is a lot. A lot of people are like,
they're like, no, I'm on 2 chews and maybe? I'm done.
Yeah. So that can, make a difference. Try not to eat when you're stressed out or something like that. Because naturally that stress response is going to shut down your digestion. So we digest when we're in parasympathetic mode in our nervous system, which is like rest and digest phase. And that's when we make all the enzymes we need. But if we're stressed and we're in sympathetic, like let's say you're having an argument with one or something like that, it naturally shuts down the parasympathetic, and it like makes those juices not produce as much, and you're in fight or flight mode, so you're not able to digest well. So not that that's always perfectly able to do, but trying to do that, being thankful, saying grace, or having some sort of like appreciation around your food can make a difference. And then basics like moving your body, trying to, limit like, processed foods and easy fast sugars and some of those like kind of basics around like moving away from a standard American diet or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the habits, like the food hygiene habits, can go a long way for some people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That I did not know. I had no idea that your digestive system shuts down when you're under stress. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of functions are shifted when our nervous system, goes into that fight or flight mode. But yeah, digestion is one of them for sure.
Wow. Well, that explains a lot for me.
I mean, and it takes I mean both like acute stress, of course, but then also like chronic stress. Because if you think about our nervous system as, like your foot is like you're driving a car and you're putting the gas down, and that's like the fight or flight. Like people can get stuck in that part of their nervous system too. And so obviously that can have more chronic, like, lower stomach acid, or like not really, like, your body's just not in a mode where it's like ready and willing to do that kind of work. But putting the brake on then, like, which, is hard work, but important work in the process too.
As you know, I've dealt with SIBO issues, and I've read that it can occur when surgery slows the passage of food and waste in the digestive tract. And in my situation, like I basically, because I had surgery, I had my fibroid surgery, and people that have watched season 1, I talk about having that fibroid surgery and changing things. But what I wanted to ask is, it's creating a breeding ground for bacteria. So since I had a lot of those scarred tissues in my abdomen area from the fibroid surgery, is that something that can get in the way of my digestion? And do you think that this is something that I will continuously need to keep an eye on?
So scar tissue can definitely be a precursor for something like SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I do see patients who have had, cyst surgery or fibroid surgery or something, and you end up getting scar tissue sort of wrapped around your intestines.
Yeah.
So it leaves little pockets for bacteria to get stuck or overgrow, which is, like, people listening probably know what SIBO is, but like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So you have an overgrowth in your small intestine where you really shouldn't have that much. In the large intestine, you should have a lot. But so yeah, that's definitely a aspect. There is, for some people, and if that's a major reason they're having recurrent SIBO, it can be really beneficial to get in there and do really deep, like, abdominal massages and things like that to, like, break up the scar tissue.
Yeah, that's something I started doing, actually.
Yeah. Like, there's a place called Clear Passages that, like, does a lot of that work with naturopaths like myself in concomitant, like, at the same time as SIBO treatment, or like I've sent people to, like, a physical therapist before or something, where they get in there and do that visceral manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it hurts, y'all.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad. It's not like a good massage.
Relaxation massage. No. No.
You're not at the spa, boo.
No, not at all.
You're like, oh my God. Yeah. But it works.
Yeah.
It works, but it is painful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because I kind of just found that myself, but I didn't even know that that's actually something that you're supposed to do. So,
yeah. It's not necessarily, sometimes I always think about it with, especially with recurrent SIBO, somebody who's really having a hard time clearing it, and like we keep getting, positive tests over and over. We got to think about adhesions and stuff like that. But
when do you think someone should actually get SIBO testing? Is it like, how will they know that they need to get SIBO testing?
The most, like, classic presentation for SIBO in the most classic sense. So like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, is more like hydrogen dominant breath. Like certain types of bacteria produce hydrogen gases. So a hydrogen dominant SIBO tends to cause loose stools. So like if someone has chronic loose stools and a lot of, like, bloating and digestion, especially after eating, like, classically, it's like you wake up, your belly's nice and flat, and then the second you eat anything, where it's inconsistent, some foods, sometimes it causes bloating, sometimes it doesn't. You get, like, the distended, like, belly throughout the day. So, like, bloating, gas production, but loose stools is most commonly like a hydrogen SIBO. They've sort of called methane dominant SIBO EMO now. So, like, IMO, or intestinal methanogen overgrowth. So if there's methane producing organisms in the gut, that is called EMO. They more classically cause constipation.
I see. So they do opposite things.
Yeah, they tend to be more constipating. Not every single case is like textbook.
Yeah.
But that tends to be more constipating with, like, more methane producing. So chronic constipation could, or like IBS type symptoms, really.
Yeah.
Would be something where you might be like, oh, a SIBO breath test, might be worthwhile. But,
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we'll talk about mold exposure. can mold exposure can play a part in IBS, right? Mold exposure is something that's, since you were talking about IBS,
Yeah.
mold exposure is something that's a part of IBS, right?
Yeah, mold exposure can really impact the gut a lot. Um, it, it can be an underlying reason someone develops SIBO, for one.
Oh.
Because the mycotoxins, or the toxins produced by molds, can impact your immune system. They can slow down your motility in your gut, so that can contribute to a slower migrating motor complex, or like movement through your gut, so which can predispose you to something like SIBO, or constipation in general. It can impact, and then the spores, you can get like yeast overgrowth in your gut related to mold, which can definitely impact like bacterial balance in your gut, and cause a lot of digestive symptoms and that kind of thing. It also affects your immune system. So like some of the functional stool testing that I run looks at a marker like secretory IgA, which is like a marker of immune function in your gut, and mold exposure over time tends to cause that to be really low. So you're not having the same robust immune system in your gut. And our gut is where we hold most of our immune system.
Yes.
So, yeah, I can start having, the list, unfortunately, for mold is very long of things that it can impact. Yes. But yeah, gut health is always something that I think about with mold. Yeah. And vice versa. So.
Now, when you mention mold, it's just, you're talking about mold that's in food, or mold exposure in like the home, or both?
Well, there is some mold in food. You can get some mold exposure through food. The idea is that we should be able to live synergistically with mold in our environment to some degree, right? But of course, if it's inside the home, it's a very different situation than if it's outside in the world, and you're walking around, or in food here and there or something like that. So most of the time I'm talking about like internal environmental mold exposure, maybe from, leaks, water damage, roof leaks, HVAC leaking, or too much like moisture, high elevated moisture in the home can produce mold. And it only takes about 24 to 48 hours for mold to grow.
Wow.
So yeah, like if you've had, a leak or something like that, and it just got eventually dried out. Yeah, this is a whole nother, we could go down a whole nother area on like mold and remediation.
You're like, it's a rabbit hole.
But yeah, and we had some wet, at least in LA, there were a couple winters in a row that were really wet, like
yes,
kind of historically. And I had I definitely had a lot more mold patients that seemed to surface because they didn't know that they had like roof leaks or, things like that until the rain came, and then they had like, they ended up getting water damage, things like that.
I've had water damage in my house, and I remember I was like, what is that smell? Like, it was so strong, and then the floor was like it was like squishy, and I was like, no. And it was a lot of mold. Yeah, so we had to get it like fully redone. I'm glad, because it was awful. Just the smell, it was just, I'm glad I didn't see it though. There was nothing to the visible eye. And so that kind of goes to your point where a lot of people may not know it's there, but I feel like if it gets bad, you can smell it. It is not a normal smell.
I would say that, hopefully that's true. But a lot of times you can't smell it at all.
Really?
Yeah. So definitely if there's a musty odor, that's a key. But a lot of cases, there's no odor at all.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a door I don't wish upon people. Yeah, I don't. No. It's, I always, and we've dealt in my own family with stuff ourselves too. So I understand it can be like very overwhelming, and a lot of financially big burden and stuff like that too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And health impacts, as we're talking about, of course.
Yes. No, but the financial impact, you're not going to be able to go get the health stuff fixed.
Really, it's a burden for sure. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So how does one remove mold from the gut then?
Well, there can be various ways that mold can impact the body. So we sort of call it like mold colonization. So it can contribute to yeast and fungal overgrowth in the gut. That's one way. So if we're talking about that that way, in my practice, I do a lot of organic acid urine testing for like identifying possible fungal or yeast overgrowth. It tends to be more sensitive than like a functional stool test at picking up on yeast and fungus. And it also sort of looks at more cell level function and like impacts from toxin exposure, like mold toxins or something like that. So that's a nice way. And so addressing that piece, like I use antifungal prescriptions sometimes, or like antifungal herbs. There's a lot of herbs that have like antifungal properties to them, like oregano, pau d'arco, uva ursi. There's some like, products or combination products I tend to use. So that's one way of addressing it. The mycotoxin piece is a little bit different because we assess for that more on urinary mycotoxin testing. So with that, you're thinking about having the body detox the mycotoxins out of the body because they can get stored in our tissues, as well as like binding them. So we use a lot of binders to grab a hold of the toxins, and then we support the detoxification pathways, the liver, the gallbladder, like through the intestines to like help
push it out
through. Yeah, and then you're pulling them out and
right.
pushing them out and stuff like that. And then some people can end up developing a chronic inflammatory response to the mold exposure. So there's some blood-based testing that you can do that looks at like inflammatory markers that tend to be high with a mold-related inflammatory response, otherwise known as like CIRS or chronic inflammatory response syndrome or CIRS. And so there's a lot of ways you can be impacted by mold. So treating them is sort of a combination of what's going on for that person, how their body's tolerating or responding. Some people are genetically predisposed to just being more vulnerable and having a harder time clearing the toxins, or being more prone to an inflammatory response from exposure. I mean, we say that oftentimes there's a canary in the family with mold, where you can have 5 people in the family and 1 or 2 people seem impacted. Everyone else is like, there's not a problem. I feel good, so it's very, it's individualized in that way. And so treating the inflammation, we can do that with, again, I use a lot of natural agents in my practice, herbs, vitamins, minerals, nutrients. But, to a degree of it, like I'm grabbing, we're either treating like the gut, we're trying to modulate the immune system and help stabilize the immune system, or improve nutrients that the molds have impacted, like vitamin D or vitamin A, or, iron levels over time can drop from mold exposure. And then, like dampening an inflammatory response. So I don't know. So it's a little hard to, it's a long-winded answer to the way to treat mold, but
no, but it's really helpful because people that are watching, they might have done some of the things, but then some of the other stuff they never tried, or maybe they can ask their doctor about something else, or maybe they can go to a naturopathic doctor and look into, excuse me, and look into treatments such as the ones you mentioned, because they never tried that, or they never even considered it, and they've been living probably with mold exposure and had no idea.
Well, and something I think the combination of like COVID tends to activate mast cells. So we had like, a new virus that activated a part of our immune system called that's more the allergy side, or mast cells that release like histamine and other agents. But mold really activates mast cells too. So I feel like there's a lot of people, and I know that like mast cell activation syndrome has become a little more maybe well known, but like there's a lot of people with like MCAS or mast cell activation, and for a lot of them, mold is a part of that picture too, because it's really contributing to that immune dysregulation and that like activation of these cells in their body that release a bunch of histamine and other, other things that like continue to cause a lot of symptoms for them too. So, yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to stress, my best friend, stress and sleep. because we all know I don't get enough of it. I'm doing so much better than I used to. You would be so proud of me.
That's
Yes,
great.
she made me get my sleep and stress together. Um, and it was a challenge. I'm like crying because I can't do it. And I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, but I have found ways to force myself to take some time and self-care and just sleep, or like once I've gone for so many days, I'm like, I gotta sleep. Once I've gone for so many hours, I'm like, okay, I'm too stressed out. I need to de-stress, whatever that is. So since we know that this is one of my amazing, like, big wig problems, why is it so important to find ways to manage your stress and sleep in regards to your gut health?
Yeah. So as we sort of touched on the idea of like the different parts of our nervous system, right? We have that like sympathetic fight or flight response part where, all the non-essential things to like get shut down. You don't need to reproduce or like digest your food or anything if you're running from a tiger. So the chronic stress component to that is that you can start getting impacts on your like production of enzymes and stomach acid level, and even like microbiome, like the bacterial balance in the gut, um, leaky gut or intestinal permeability. Like these all have been like connected to stress in the literature, or especially like chronic stress.
Mm-hmm.
But as you mentioned, like these things they're not like, oh, simple, like, all of a sudden tomorrow I'm going to be better about these things, right? They're like practices. And
Right.
you have to find like, yeah, like ways to make baby steps and tangible steps to adjust that for yourself. Um, but yeah, but it can also produce like, a lot of people will like tense up kind of in their gut, like, so
I used to, for
yeah, like,
sure.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it can be definitely tied to digestive, more digestive symptoms. Classically, of course, like things like stomach ulcers, like
Yeah.
can definitely be tied to like stress and that too. So I think there was another part of your question though, maybe.
It was
Oh,
just sleep. In addition to
oh,
sleep,
sleep. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and sleep is our restorative part of like our day. So in sleep, we drain toxins from our brain. Our cerebral spinal fluid like flows while we sleep. So it sort of like flows up and down our spine and like drains bad stuff out of our brain and like adds new like moves things through, and it's very restorative. So that's a nice like reset or part of our day, and then it's tied to stress too, just because if you're not getting enough sleep, your body's not getting the restoration time it needs, and ends up being more stressful, more depleted, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what was happening in my case, especially because especially around the time I was shooting from in Atlanta and Los Angeles, and I was constantly going back and forth, and I was working on multiple projects at one time, and I it got to the point where I had to stay put
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't getting enough sleep to allow my body to recover.
Yeah, yeah,
And I had created, of course, I've created a horrible sleeping pattern from childhood. Like I've
yeah,
thought about it. I don't think I've ever had the proper amount of sleep
yeah.
ever. Like probably now is when I'm closest to reaching the goal, and I
Yeah,
still have
that's
to
good.
let more stuff go, like just take things off my plate, because
Mm-hmm.
I am one, as you know, to add
Mm-hmm.
everything to my plate,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll suffer. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
stop it, but my at this point my body's just like, girl, you've done it.
Well, also, because at some point, right, push comes to shove for a lot of people where they're like, okay, I've got to make a change in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But it can get complicated because sleep, the ability to fall asleep and ability to stay asleep without disturbed sleep can be impacted a lot by your health too. So even something like gut dysfunction or dysbiosis can actually contribute to people not getting good quality of sleep or like waking in during the night or, something like that too. So, it gets a little bit tricky for some people in unwinding that process. It's a lot of times it is like boundary setting and like habit forming and like all of that to help, your health. But sometimes a lot of people come to me just because they have sleep problems,
Yeah.
And there can be some underlying factors in that we can unwind, to help with quality of sleep too.
That's a good point. That's a great point. And the last thing I'll ask you before you have any last words for someone who's trying to take their gut health seriously, do you believe in detoxes at all? What are your feelings on detoxing?
I do. I mean, the way that I work in my practice is like very personalized individual care, right? So probably, yeah, generally I'd be like, yeah, sure, detoxes can be great. I don't really know what that means, for everybody, right? Some people might, like, especially we talk about mold. Some people who might try to do a big detox will feel terrible. So it's not like the kind of detoxes out there, and I don't know, there's probably so many that I'm probably thinking of a few that maybe are different what you're thinking of, but that might not be the best fit for everyone. So there can be some good things about opening up your detox pathways and, helping to stimulate, especially when there's, things like air quality, recently and stuff like that.
Ugh.
That can definitely be a time when, like, there can be stuff with your diet and breathing and moving, and that can really make a difference to help your body detox properly. But, I have a hard time saying, because I just work with people who end up like not, they've tried it and they felt like crap or something like that, and so we have to look into why that is. One example, here's a little example. It's like in a functional stool testing, one of the markers that can be abnormal is called beta-glucuronidase. And if it's high, it basically means that your body's recycling toxins. So it's trying to detox and then it's just putting it back in the system. It can be estrogens too, but it's like toxins can do that. So if someone has that going on, then they may not have a very efficient way of, clearing out their toxins. So we do something called calcium D-glucarate for high beta-glucuronidase, and that can help prevent that recycling of toxins. So, but yeah, like probably more gentle things can be helpful for most everybody, So it depends on, I don't know. It would have to be more specific on like
what's happening with the person.
Like
and I
that.
think that's the point. I think that's a
Yeah.
great point just in general, that what you're saying is it's not a one size fits all type of thing. Just because one detox thing is a fad right now doesn't mean that works for your body.
Yeah. And I mean,
that's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that because I don't have like, here's my protocol for this. Like,
right.
I mean, I have a template I work from, but even then with SIBO, like I'm still modifying it to each person. You know what I mean? So it's absolutely a little hard. Yeah, it's kind of natural for me to answer questions that way.
No, it's a smart way to answer it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up with what last advice, like last things that you would like to say to anyone that is trying to take their gut health seriously. Any last points, whatever you would like to say to wrap up that whole conversation.
Yeah. I do think that some of the like food hygiene basics can go a long way. Like when I first met my naturopath, he really pushed me to sit down with my food and chew thoroughly. And I intentionally went out. I mean, I was living with my brother and his wife at the time when I was in medical school. And I remember like going out on their porch and like eating my lunch on their porch. And I would like look at the trees and, and it made a difference. Like it actually impacted like how I felt. It wasn't everything, right? But it made a big difference. So I do think some of these like lifestyle basics for some people can go a long way, because a lot of times that's partly why they're where they're at, because, they've been rushing or, not, being stressed out or, all these different things. And so unwinding that can make a big difference. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, sitting with your food, chewing your food, thinking about, trying to eat like whole food food, whole foods based diet and limiting
Yes.
processed foods and things like that. But that can tip too, because I work, a lot of people can tip into a obsession about kind of perfect eating, and that itself can be, unhealthy for your
Problematic.
body too. So, and even myself with my doctor, I started tipping into ultra obsessed for a period of time where it became very dysfunctional to me, and I developed a disordered eating pattern. So I know that even with healthy eating can tip into not
where
really
you're
good for you, so yeah. So sometimes I actually encourage my patients to not worry as much about, what to not eat and stuff like that. So yeah, it can be a balance, but
yeah, otherwise you'll go nuts.
yeah, and it can cause a lot of stress. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is very stressful. It can be.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, speaking of food, we're going to talk about some of your favorite foods in this next segment. We're moving on to There's Another Way to Do That. This is There's Another Way to Do That, where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. For season 2, I'm modifying recipes inspired by my guest. So, Dr. Joy, please tell me about one of your favorite dishes.
So I have 3 kiddos, 13, 10, and 5. So my favorite dishes, I have to say, are things that I can make for my family that everybody will eat without complaining too much. So we really love this crock pot curry recipe. It's a win. Everybody in the family eats it pretty easily. So tasty, lots of anti-inflammatory herbs, and nourishing too. So.
When you told me about it, I'm like, wow, this sounds so good. I cannot wait to do my take on it. What are some of the things that make it your favorite dish? Is it just because it has all those elements, or is it it mixed together, or is it the curry, or what is it for you?
Well, we usually make this with a dal recipe and rice too. So I usually make it into pulled chicken.
Oh.
And so we kind of each kid will do, my husband likes to do it separate. Everyone kind of does it differently. I like to just mix it all together into one big slop pile, of food.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really love curries. So that's probably why it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I love curries.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And what do people usually get wrong when they do this recipe? Have you had it anywhere else, or has someone else tried it to make it and you're like,
I don't know. I made it for a few people. I've had some friends who've had babies or something, and we'll bring them a meal, and we'll bring this. I don't know. I probably like it pulled, but
better than just a whole chicken.
For me and my preference,
yeah,
that might be where I would be oh, it's better this way, but yeah. Well, and if you make it at home versus getting a curry out and about, you can obviously control the quality of chicken you buy and the quality of whatever. I mean, there is a little bit of butter in the recipe that, we use or whatever. You can obviously control a little bit of quality sourced things, but.
And how do you think I will do when I modify it?
Great.
Yeah. You we shall see.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll turn out amazing.
Awesome. Okay, well, we shall see how I do with this. I'm really excited about this, you all. Be sure to check out how I modified Dr. Joy's favorite dish on my YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Up next, Shondalia's Inside Scoop. This is Shondalia's Inside Scoop, where my life is a trivia question. You've heard of food trivia, but this gets personal. Let me know if you can tell what's true. All right, the game is simple. I'll ask you 3 questions in regards to my health and wellness, or just me and what I like, and you'll let me know how well you know me based on how you answer. So let's get into that. Okay, Dr. Joy, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the first question is, I've had surgery at least 3 times. Were they all related to my gut? Yes or no?
No.
You are correct!
I was I didn't really read through all your chart before this, but...
I I love that you came prepared. You're like, I
You
read the
didn't tell
chart.
me what I need. I just did quickly, but you didn't tell me I needed to like study our chart notes.
This is fantastic. You are correct. I did not have, I had over 3 surgeries, but no, they were not all related to my gut at all. I've had like eye surgery, all kind of stuff. So I've had all types of surgeries. Yeah, keep it going. Yeah. All right. Question number 2. While traveling, a waitress told me I know what to do after I explained that I didn't want or need butter on my steak. Did she, in fact, know what to do? Yes or no?
Yes?
No, Dr. Joy, she did not know what to do.
But she knew what to do.
She didn't know what to do. She went and gave me stuff that made me get sick, and I got food poisoning on that plane, and it was the worst plane ride back home.
Oh, my goodness. I thought maybe she'd be like, oh, we could use olive oil instead of butter or something like that.
This is in the South. She destroyed me. I was like, no.
Oh, goodness.
I was like, no, you don't know what to do. She, in fact,
you probably should just assume that they need explanation,
Yes.
Detail.
I went down the line though with her, and I told her like, oh no, I don't need the butter. I don't need this because I'll end up getting sick and da da da. And she's like, I know what to do. I'm like, no.
Well, maybe to a set they're like, no, I don't think it's that you know.
She, in fact, did not know what to do. All right. Okay, question number 3. You're doing well, still 1 for 1. All right. So, which dishes did I make in season 1 of my cooking segment? There's another way to do that. A, gluten-free gumbo. B, baked turkey nachos. C, Philadelphia roll. Or D, gluten-free cheese pizza. This is what did I make in the season 1 of my cooking segment.
I have not seen that episode.
Okay.
I would guess gluten-free gumbo.
You said I did make?
Yeah.
You are not correct. Oh, dang. But you know what? I used to love gumbo, and I wish I haven't made it yet. I haven't found a modified version yet. Uh-huh. But the correct answer is B, baked turkey nachos. So make sure you check that out. It's delicious.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
It's good. It's so good. I didn't make this. And I used to eat Philadelphia rolls. Can't eat that now. Haven't found a substitute. And cheese pizza, no. No, I'm not into it.
It's hard to, it's hard to make pizzas all adjusted. But
I do pretty good with adjusting pizzas. I did like a really good chicken pesto pizza.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. It's gluten-free. Mm-hmm. So some people, they don't like the gluten-free crust, but I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Because, I don't really have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. We've served, in our family, we've served gluten-free pizza or even gluten-free pasta to, friends if they come over, and they had no idea.
They don't even know. As long as it tastes good, no one knows. Yeah. Great job.
You still and then they might go, ooh, what?
Right. I knew it tastes funny. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
After you finish the plate, you just lick the plate dry.
Exactly.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Dr. Joy did not take a bite out of my story. That's okay. She hung in there, and we had a great time. And she came prepared with a little bit of that first one. She came in strong. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Check us out next time for Shondalia's Inside Scoop. Let's wrap this thing up. I hope that this episode taught you something that you didn't know about Dr. Joy Bozzo, naturopath, doctors as a whole, and just gut health and so much stuff that she shared with us today about just food experiences and how that changes things. I mean, we learned a lot. One thing I love about naturopath doctors is that they consider the whole person when they're treating you to get to the root of the problem. And we all know we need to get to the root of everything to actually solve it and not just be treated so you can keep buying drugs and prescriptions and stuff all the time. Take it from me. Take care of your body so it can take care of you, or you're going to be dealing with a lot of shit. Dr. Joy, Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm just so overjoyed to spend this time with you. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, yeah. No, this is great. I'm really glad to be part of it.
Yes. So tell everyone where they can find you if you are working on anything specific where they might want to look into it, whatever you would like to promote.
Sure. So I do have a private practice where I work with lots of digestive stuff, whether it's diagnosed conditions or just that zone where a lot of people find themselves with a gastroenterologist is like, well, everything's fine, but they're not feeling well. I also work with a lot of like autoimmune conditions, hormone imbalance, mold, chronic mast cell activation, all the things I kind of touched on. And my private practice website is drjoybozzo.com. So DRJOY, it's B as in boy, OZZO.com. So yeah, I married an Italian and took his last name. It's like pizza, two Z's makes a T noise. So it's Bozzo, but yeah, Bozzo. And then I also work in a practice where I see a lot of pediatrics. I work with kids with autism, neurodevelopmental delays, a condition called PANS and PANDAS, which is an immune-mediated neuroinflammatory condition that causes like psychiatric symptoms, mood and behavior issues in kiddos, and the gut is highly connected to a lot of that stuff. And that practice is called Wholesome Brain Medicine, and that website is wholesomebrainmedicine.com. WH. Like not just
No, I got you. It will be at the bottom.
Okay, I was like, wholesome brain medicine.
You're like, wait a minute, wholesome. Brain. It's lunchtime. Look.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joy. I'll make sure we got you. Don't worry about it. And again, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
This has been I Can't Eat Shit podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate you all. If you like what you saw and or heard today, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. I Can't Eat Shit podcast on YouTube or wherever you stream your podcast. If you watch me, there's bonus material. There's another way to do that. My full cooking segments where I teach you how to modify recipes based on my restrictions. They're oh so good, so make sure you check them out. And you can also check me out on Instagram at I Can't Eat Shit Podcast or at Shondalia White. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. I Can't Eat Shit. I Can't Eat Shit Podcast is not a replacement for a medical professional. If you need help, seek out a trained medical professional, nutritionist, or therapist to help you with your specific needs.